Updated October 9, 2017. 133,440 United States President Donald Trump has been quite vocal over the past few weeks about footballers protesting during the national anthem, which began last year as a symbolic protest about police violence against racial minorities. This time, Mr. Trump weighed in following a walkout by Vice President Mike Pence on a National Football League NFL game in his home state of Indiana after some players knelt during the national anthem. But why is this issue being given so much attention? Here's what we know about the spat. What has Trump previously said? Mr. Trump first raised his objection to the protesters in September at a rally in deep southern Alabama. At the time, he told a crowd of supporters that we're proud of our country, we respect our flag. Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, "Get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired." He's fired. Following this statement, a number of supporters hit back at Mr. Trump, who responded with a number of tweets that again criticized the protest. Why is the issue being given so much attention? David Smith, academic director of the U.S. Studies Center at the University of Sydney, says Mr. Trump has really taken to this issue to re-establish his conservative credentials. I think that he did feel that there was some danger that he was alienating his own conservative base when he started negotiating with some Democrats about the status of illegal children in the United States, and when he started negotiating with Democrats about the budget. He told the ABC, once he showed that he was willing to compromise with Democrats on those issues, there was a right-wing backlash against him, and I think he felt he needed to give his base back. So he seized on this issue, which up until this point had been an issue but not a huge issue in the United States. It had been the sort of thing that got play in the sports media, but not really in the media more broadly. So he seized on this issue at a rally in Alabama, where football is basically a religion, where he was speaking to an overwhelmingly white audience in a state with a history of segregation. He really took this issue and used it to re-establish his conservative credentials, and once he saw how much attention it was getting him, he kept on about it all that weekend, and what it led to was hundreds of players participating in these protests, when only a few players had participated originally. He made it a lot bigger than it was originally. Was the walkout planned? Some have questioned whether Mr. Pence had planned to walk out on the NFL game between the Colts and San Francisco 49ers on Sunday afternoon local time. Suspicions were first raised after Mr. Pence quickly releasing a statement and took to Twitter to explain his actions, using the opportunity to upload a cover photo of himself standing during the anthem. "I left today's Colts game because President Trump and I will not dignify any event that disrespects our soldiers, our flag, or our national anthem," he said in the statement. At a time when so many Americans are inspiring our nation with their courage, resolve, and resilience, now, more than ever, we should rally around our flag and everything that unites us. The possibility was given further weight once the president tweeted that it was his idea, writing that he asked at VP Pence to leave stadium if any players kneeled, disrespecting our country. The likelihood of a player kneeling was quite high, given the 49ers have protested a number of times during NFL anthems since 2016. NBC national correspondent Peter Alexander indicated that the media had been clued in, saying that reporters were told to stay in their van because there may be an early departure from the game. Other media outlets have also reported that Mr. Pence was due to fly out shortly after the game to Los Angeles, suggesting that if the walkout was planned, the stunt came at the cost of taxpayers. Is this a race issue? The ABC's John Barron wrote last month that Mr. Trump's spat with some of the most prominent sporting stars in America is not about patriotism, or even sport. Despite his protestations, it is about race. Dr. Smith agrees, noting that throughout the primaries and the U.S. election campaign, Mr. Trump rode a wave of backlash against Black Lives Matter. Ever since 2012, when Trayvon Martin was killed and Barack Obama said if he had a son he would look like Trayvon, there has been a very racialized debate about violence against African Americans, violence by police and violence against police, he said. And a lot of white conservatives believe the Black Lives Matter movement is an anti-police movement, a movement that advocates violence against police, and a movement that threatens law and order in the United States. Donald Trump is firmly on that side of the debate. And by saying that NFL owners should kick players off the team if they protest against police violence by taking the knee, he was very much putting himself on the side of white conservative Americans who feel threatened by the Black Lives Matter movement. Could it also be personal? Dr. Smith suggests that there could be another underlying factor behind these attacks, a personal vendetta. This probably reflects a long-held frustration that he has, which is twice he was not allowed to buy an NFL team because he didn't have the money, and the NFL though had be a financial risk, he said. He has long had issues with the NFL and he has a long history of complaining about the NFL on Twitter. Dr. Smith said he also thinks the amount of media attention that this has generated could also explain Mr. Trump's focus. When Trump gets behind an issue like this, and gets a lot of attention behind it, he's going to keep it. He'll probably speak out whenever he sees it on TV, he said. Does this contradict with the idea of freedom of speech? Despite Dr. Smith suggesting this is a way of allowing Mr. Trump to play to his support base, some have also criticized the president and vice president for impeding on free speech. NFL legend and sports analyst for Fox, Terry Bradshaw, has previously criticized the president for attacking players for exercising their freedom. While I don't condone the protest during our national anthem, this is America. If our country stands for anything, folks, it's freedom, he said in September. People die for that freedom. I'm not sure if our president understands those rights, that every American has the right to speak out and also to protest. Can the president actually do anything about protests? Mr. Trump has nothing to do with policing or with regulating sport, so for him it's a symbolic issue, Dr. Smith said. It's the president's way of saying, I'm on the side of the police, and also the fact that these protests happen around the national anthem. It makes it appear to Mr. Trump and his supporters that the protesting against police violence and racism is actually protesting against America itself. It's anti-American. Topics: Donald Trump, world politics, government and politics, race relations, community and society, sport. United States first posted October 9, 2017 130,043.